The autopsy on singer Whitney Houston is complete, and there are reports that her body will be flown back to the East Coast for a funeral service later this week. Her death over the weekend was the sad end to a very remarkable and very troubled life. In a moment, we'll talk to Jetro da Silva, who knew the singer quite well. A Berkeley professor, he played guitar for Houston on each of her tours since 1999. But first, here's Jared Bowen with the latest.
Emily, it almost seems that we should be desensitized to these events by now, the musical genius forever quieted by inner struggles. But this one hits hard. It is in no way a stretch to say that Whitney Houston had one of the most stunning voices of all time. It was smooth and it soared like few others. It's the reason her rendition of the national anthem became the definitive one for modern times. Why her interpretation of Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You became an anthem for the ages. And it's why her sudden death on Saturday also hung heavily over the Grammys last night, the most watched telecast in 28 years.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way.
And that was Jennifer Hudson performing. And this morning, an official with the LA County Coroner's Office spoke with reporters.
She was removed from the bathtub by a family member, a bodyguard, and fire department. When they got there, she was already out of the bathtub. The case is still pending. We're waiting for tox, histopathology, and toxicology, and the investigation's ongoing.
Emily, as is often the case in these investigations, it'll likely be between 6 to 8 weeks before we learn officially why Whitney Houston died in the bathtub of her Beverly Hilton hotel room. Authorities do confirm the singer was found unconscious underwater, although TMZ is already reporting today the death was a result of alcohol mixed with prescription drugs, including Xanax. Emily?
Thanks, Jared, and I'm joined here in the studio by Jetro da Silva. Welcome, Jetro. So how did you come to know Whitney Houston?
Well, I came after a few years in Los Angeles, work with Ricky Minor. I made a call to him to submit a tape for Al Jarreau.
For who?
Al Jarreau, trying to get into the new CD at the time. And then he said, Jetro, the album is already released. However, I'm putting together 2 tours, Whitney Houston, Chaka Khan. Which one do you want? And I chose Whitney because I had already worked with Chaka, and it was a dream because it's funny. Years ago, when I was still dreaming to move to America and possibly one day work with Whitney, I said to my parents that one day I wanted to play for Whitney, and the whole family like, you must be crazy. So, and that dream came to pass.
So now you played guitar, backup guitar?
Actually, I play, originally I'm a keyboard player since 1999. In this last tour, during the rehearsals, I touched one of the guitars there during the break, just joking around. I start playing, and they like, no, you need to play it for real. So that's how I start playing the guitar. This last tour as well, I play both.
I mean, you must have made some observations of her over the past couple of years. You toured as recently as 2010. In recent years, I mean, it was no secret. She had a lot of problems with alcohol abuse, cocaine abuse. Were you aware of that at the time?
Actually, I was just aware of what the media was saying, but among us, we just had positive example of Whitney Houston. As a matter of fact, she came to me and asked me to lead a Bible study, which she came every week. And my birthday, she took me for dinner, and we spent time talking about great things, great moments together. And we didn't have no signs of indications of her being high or being under any kind of drug abuse condition. So
when she was performing, you could say that you didn't suspect at all that she was using some kind of...
Absolutely. I would say that Whitney Houston was performing in her full capacity, doing her best to give the best to the audience. And as a matter of fact, she, contrary to many today, she was performing the whole show, because I was aware of the production. And she sang from beginning to end, all shows.
Where would you say she was in her career? I mean, she was pretty amazing, you know, starting in the mid-'80s, but every couple of years she had some kind of a comeback or a breakthrough. I mean, you know, and then in films, I mean, do you think she could have gone to another level?
Coming from, asking someone who has a personal theological view, I believe that she fulfilled her mission here on earth. And I think she did a great job. Personally, she changed my life in a very positive way. She was a great example. We are close friends. So I got to know a side that the media didn't know, never saw, and a side that perhaps the world would never be able to know about it, because she was always praying for people. She was always taking care of people financially. She was always making sure that everyone was okay. As a matter of fact, I'm a full professor at Berkeley today, and one of the recommendation letters came from her office.
What was her relationship like, as far as you could see, with her daughter, who's 18 now?
They were very close, very close. And she wanted to make sure to protect her daughter. She always tried to give her best to her daughter, and that it was pretty obvious, because her daughter really respects her mother, and in many situations we saw the way she was making sure her daughter would go on the right path, because her daughter joined us in the tour.
I was going to say, the daughter joined you on the tour, so she graduated high school, but she wasn't in college?
That I don't know, but I know that her daughter was learning a lot as far as production, music business, and she sings a little, and she was involved in many great things in the tour as well.
Did Whitney ever talk about or confide anything in you about her marriage to Bobby Brown?
We never really talk about that. We talk about the spiritual things. We talk about privilege that we have to have talents and be a blessing to lives. That was her thing. Whitney really had whole. That's something that I'm proud to say. You know, Whitney loved to be a blessing to people in any kind of way she could.
Did she like her fame? Did she like her stardom? Did she like her fans?
She loved her fans. As a matter of fact, a few times in Germany, the fan clubs actually spoke during the tour. She gave them the microphone, and they actually spoke on behalf of Whitney. He was one of the leaders of the group, speaking against the media, what they were saying. And a lot of things that were said were not true, because we were there. And the media came and said, please let us speak. And they spoke on her behalf. And many of these fans, they went to all the concerts, all the concerts. They took off their job, and they were there supporting her in all the moments. It's something that I'll never forget.
All right, Jetro da Silva, thanks so much for sharing the personal stories.
Thank you so much for having me here.
All right, and that is it for Greater Boston. Tomorrow night, a Harvard researcher on the popularity of online dating, and tomorrow on my radio show at noon on 89.7, How Does It Work Anyway? Mating at the Franklin Park Zoo. That's all tomorrow, Valentine's Day. I'm Emily Rooney. Good night.